I'll call this meeting to order for the Federal City Council for March 21st, 2017, the special meeting. Would you all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, well, welcome. Bob Selski will not be joining us. There's a family situation. He's unable to be with us this evening, so his absence is excused. This is a purpose of a study session tonight for new market tax credits. First, we'll have a presentation by Finance Director Ariwoola and also by our consultants, Mr. Reynold, Roeder, and Sara, Pietka. Then we'll have council discussion and questions. All right. Ade?
Good evening, Mayor, Deputy Mayor, Council. This is just to give you some background on new market tax credit and to update you as of to where we are as of now. Before I get started, I want to introduce our consultants that have been they've been helping us through this entire process, and I'm glad that they're here from Portland, Oregon, and they will answer all of your questions, tonight. Mr. Reynold, Roeder, and Ms. Sara, Pietka, they are from Portland, Oregon, and with Roeder and Company. So they've been helping us navigate the heavy area of a new market tax credit. To share with you some of the items that I will cover, I'll try to give you a background on new market tax credit, the reason, the purpose of the new market tax credit itself, also the factors that drive the new market tax process, and also a little bit of discussion, is new market tax credit a difficult source of funding, or how tedious or involving the process is. And the bottom line is, what are we getting from this process? How much money? So that is the bottom line. And also to highlight some of the key milestones for the city, some of the specific dates or some specific things that we need to do. And also to share with you some of the requirements that we have to follow after the closing of the contract. So those requirements, usually they will last about 7 years to cover those things. And also to share with the council, with the money that we're getting, what is the risk involved? What is the issue here? And the conclusion, and to answer your questions. As a part of the background, the new market tax credit program attracts private capital into low-income communities, that is, distressed communities, by permitting individual and corporate investors to receive a tax credit against their federal income tax in exchange for making equity investment in specialized financial intermediaries, that is, the community development entities, the CDE. So this is a government-private partnership at the height of things, where you are getting individuals that have the money to invest instead of totally, government money to invest in the desirable area. Just to give you a little bit of the history, the program was established as part of a Community Renewal Tax Relief Act of 2000. The program provides, as I mentioned before, tax credit incentives to investors for qualified equity investment in certified community development entities which invest in low-income communities. The goal of the program is to help refertilize efforts of low-income and impoverished communities across the United States and territories. So these investors, what do they get out of this? For whatever amount that they invest, they get about 39% of the paid out over a period of 7 years. So that means for that 7-year period, the first 3 years, they get 5% of whatever amount they invest that they can that they can take tax credit from their income tax from. So the 4th year, they get 6%, 5th year, they get 6%, and 7th year, they get 6%, with a total of 39% that they're able to recover from their tax income over a 7-year period. The Community Renewal Tax Relief Act of 2000 is intended to improve development in economically distressed areas of the United States. The law offers tax incentives for businesses to locate and hire residents in urban and rural areas that have not experienced recent economic expansions. Both rural and urban areas are eligible to apply for this. 3 primary means were used: renewal community, empowerment zone, and community development entities. The bill also created the New Market Tax Credit Program, which has been renewed several times and still in effect today, despite the change in government. Incentive for taxpayers investing in distressed community. So this has been going on for years and it's still happening today. So even though we may have, change in leadership or whatever, but this program is still happening today. And as far as the city is concerned, because we're dealing with allocated fund, we are fine. Whatever changes is made tomorrow will affect allocations from tomorrow, not retro. A community development entity must have a preliminary mission of investing in low-income communities and persons. As Vice President Al Gore said in support of the conference conclusion on the program, he said, the greatest untapped markets in the world are right here at home in our distressed community, which is the area that we're building the Performing Arts Center is considered a distressed area. Factors that drive new market process. What are the factors? First, the QEI must be invested in a qualified, active, low-income community business. Low-income community business, not necessarily low-income business. It's business that is located in the low-income or depressed area, again, which Performing Arts is. The business must be located in a qualified, low-income community. Qualified, that is why we hire, and that is why the CDE evaluate where we are to see is it located in a qualified low-income community. Based on their determination, yes, we are. What is qualified active low-income community? It's a profit or non-profit business that generates at least 50% of its gross income from business within a low-income community. It doesn't mean the customers are low income. It just means in the area that is defined to be depressed, that is where the business is located. The customer don't necessarily have to be low income. At least 40% of the use of the tangible asset is within the qualified low-income community. Our Performing Arts Center, we can divide it by 2. We can subdivide it. It's located in a depressed area. So as far as this is concerned, it will meet that standard. At least 40% of services performed by that business are in the qualified low-income community. Again, the business is located in the depressed community. So, yes. If number 2 or 3 is 50 or more than, then number 1 is deemed to have been met. So based on these guidelines, the facility is located in the depressed area, and it's serving depressed area, not necessarily serving low-income people, but it is located in depressed area. Less than 5% of the property is attributable to collectible. Well, the building is not collectible, so I think we passed that in flying color. A low-income community is a community that meets one of the following criteria. The poverty rate is at least 20%. Remember, it says a low-income community is a community that meets one of the following criteria. Not all, but one. The median family income of the community is less than 80% of the statewide median family income. Yes, our median family income for that area is way less than 80% of the statewide MFI. CDEs must complete a rigorous application process demonstrating a track record of investing capital into the low-income community to receive new market tax credit allocation authority from the Community Development Financial Institution Fund, a department of U.S. Treasury. Because the benefit to the QALICB is in the form of a grant-like subsidy, competition for new market tax credit allocation is high. And I think we can testify to that. We've applied for the past 3 years. So, and I will show you some statistics that actually show that. Looking at 2009, 249 CDEs applied. Those are not people like the City of Federal Way. Those are entities like Clearing House. So from each CDs, you have multiple entities applying to them. So you can multiply these numbers by 3, 5, or whatever. So out of that 249 in 2009, only 99 got allocations. That is just about 40% out of 50 million. In 2010, 250 applied, and only 99 again were awarded. That is about 40%. In 2011, 314 applicants, and only 70 were awarded. That is 22%. So you go down that list and see the highest actually is 2015-16, where you have 50%. So the competition is stiff. And like I said, these are CDEs, not entities like City of Federal Way. These are the entities that are actually funding. And you're gonna have between 5 or 10 or whatever that are applying to each one of these CDEs. In 2016, the CDFI fund, the request was 17.69 billion, and only 7 billion was awarded, which comes to 40%, and that would generate 2.73 billion in tax credit, 15.5%. And you have 230 ACDs that applied, and again, only 120 CDs got awards, and that comes to about 50%. what are we getting out of this process? It's a lengthy process. What are we getting out of it? As of now, the CDE that we're working with is the clearinghouse, CDFI, and they've committed $9.5 million to our project. Now, who are the ones investing? If you remember, the definition that I gave is where you have people, either individuals or corporations, investing to be able to take advantage of the credit, the tax credit. So Capital One is investing in that with the CDE. With that 9.5, the bottom line is, from our point of view, how much is the cash to the city? So from that 9.5, the city would net over $2 million. So whatever the service fee, accounting fees, or whatever are paid before we come to that balance of $2 million, which after 7 years is ours to keep. So any amount of free money, from my perspective, any amount of free money is still good money. So this is a good $2 million that the city will keep. What are the key milestones for the city? The new market tax credit working group is targeting a closing date in May. So we're hoping, we'll be able to wrap all of this up by May. Yes, there's still some things that we will have to bring to the council, but we're hoping to wrap this up by May 2017. The city has engaged various professionals to advise on the new market transaction. The legal team is Butler Snow, and the accounting firm is Novogradic and Company, and of course, you've met our consultant. These are the lawyers that are assisting us. These are the accountants. Capital One will have its own lawyers. So you have almost about you have three legal teams that are working on this project. Before closing, the City Council will need to approve creation of up to 2 not-for-profit supporting organizations. I said up to, it could be 1 or it could be 2. And of course, the council also will approve the transaction document, which we hope to bring to you before May, when we plan to close. So with this $2 million, with this $9.5 million, what is the risk to the city? The city is only accountable for the capture due to any violations within its control, i.e. the park project must remain a quality according to program rules. Well, the building is located in a depressed area. I don't think there's much we can do to move it to someplace else. So as long as the building stays where it is, we will be fine. This risk is mitigated due to park qualifications based on geographic location, and that won't change. It's based on where we're building it, and we can now move it to Tacoma or to someplace else tomorrow. That place is determined to be a depressed area, and we can move the building from there. So if that area is fine, the building will be fine, and we can now violate this rule. So, which means the risk in this is close to 0. Park can now conduct some specifically excluded business. Well, we'll be using this to do Performing Arts Center. That is now part of our to-do art performance and community gathering. That is not part of excluded business. During the closing process, the diligent team could discover an issue that will materially delay or prevent a successful transaction. Again, I just needed to point that out for full disclosure, but having 3 different law firms working on this, and after they've been working on this, even before we get to this point, the chance of this, again, is very, very slim. If that were to happen, the city would then be responsible for the professional fees of clearinghouse, Capital One, and its own legal and accounting fees. All of these fees are paid out of the 9 million. So that is why part of what we are getting out of the 9.5 million is 2 million. All of these fees. So as I said earlier, we're getting that 2 million, a little bit over 2 million clear. That is the net to the city. These fees are likely to be lower than the total due at closing as initial effort try to identify issues upfront. Like I said, we have 3 law firms working on this. So the chance, even with worst scenario, if that were to happen, the amount will be very minimal, but the chance of it is very, very slim. In my conclusion, just to wrap up, again, the 9.5 million in award that would net the city over $2 million. The IRS requirement require that we need to do some paperwork for 7 years. We may have to create up to 2 not-for-profit agencies as part of the requirement of this funding. It could easily be 1, but it could be up to 2. Not-for-profit board may be council employees, depending on the number. There's no net cash outflow during the 7 years. So if you look and say, okay, after we sign this paper, what is the city going to be paying? Whatever it is already included. So there's not going to be any cash outflow from the city. That is whatever payment to the consultant, whatever payment to the investor, whatever, that is how we net the over $2 million. As we understand, there may be more awarded to us this year if other program fails. The chance is not really high, but it's been known to happen. So if the CD is trying to sign an agreement and for whatever reason they can't make it work, they will be looking for a different place to invest their money. And so there's that possibility, even though it may be very small, but it is there. Current presidential actions only affects only the future awards. So based on the President Trump's budget, I think it's reducing so many allocations. It will not affect these 2 million that we're talking about. Yes, it may affect the award for 2017-18, but will not affect the money, the 2 million or the 9.5 million that we're dealing with today. Neither will its action affect the administration of what we're signing on to do today. And that will be my presentation, and I'll be glad, and the consultant will be glad to answer any of your questions.
Council, any questions? Councilmember Honda?
Thank you. Thanks, Ade. Can you define the area that is considered distressed?
I think actually the council did pass a resolution in 2014, identified that area as being, I think we call it redevelopment zone, and that is resolution 14-669.
Which particular area?
Which is the area where the Performing Arts Center is being built.
What are the parameters? I'm sorry? Yeah, do you know the general parameters, east, west, the streets?
We use a track number 5303, I don't remember.
Census
exactly
tract.
what
It's a,
that
s-
track
it,
is,
it's a
but
census,
it includes all
Yeah.
of that area.
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
What happens during the 7 years if that area is not considered distressed anymore, the first 7 years?
It doesn't have to be distressed, actually, after we sign this paper in May, it doesn't have to be distressed in 2018. As long as it's distressed as of the time that we make the application,
Okay,
so.
all right, thank you.
Councilmember Duclos?
I just, it's sort of like the low-income housing tax credit. The hope is that we redevelop that neighborhood and that the new market tax credits are the incentive for that.
Deputy Mayor Burbidge.
I would just comment too and add to that, that the intent is to improve the area so that changing that would be the goal.
All right. Council, anything else? Reynold and Sara, would you like to say anything? Reynold, go ahead. You've got a lot of experience in this area, so anything you'd like to throw in?
Sure. I think Ade has spent some time with us and has gotten a good grasp of the program and how it works. I think Tim as well has spent a fair amount of time with us. You have been with us on several road trips as we worked on this. I would just offer up that we've seen this model work before in the past. In Portland, I worked on the Armory transaction in the Pearl District way in the day when that wasn't such a great neighborhood, and it did have the catalytic impact we were hoping for. And if you go down to the Pearl District now in Portland, you'll see an area that you can't imagine was once a low-income community.
Right.
I think you're on the right track.
Very good. Thank you very much.
Well, I'd like to thank you for your assistance in this program, too, with
No
us.
problem. We're happy to work with people like you.
Thank you, Reynold. Thank you, Sara. And thank you, Tim. Tim is really, he's got, we were talking about this as far back as his interview back in 2014 about how important his work on the clearinghouse and his work in new market tax credits is. Councilmember Moore?
And Mr. Mayor, if I'm not mistaken, didn't he start before his contract slightly?
He did.
Yeah, so I
did.
appreciated that efforts, and I also want to echo the words, if I may, and just show that, Tim, you and I have met a lot, we've talked a lot, and trust me, I think most of us on the council here know that how passionate you are and how dedicated you are, and I appreciate the results that have come out of this. So thank you.
And I think I just want to state for the record, I think our success with these is almost, and I really appreciate the mayor, where team is dragging the mayor all over the country. I think, I think it's the effort that our team has put in with, our consultant. I think I really commend them because I remember when he came on board and when I came on board, I don't think we knew that much about new market tax credit. So I think it's due to his effort and the Reynold to bring this to pass. So I really commend him and the team. So thank you, Tim.
Yeah, I would like to thank Tim, too. There were some things that impacted us, though, in terms of being able to get going on this. There was a recession, there was a change in the form of government. All of those things delayed it. If we'd been able to do this project, especially during the recession, the price would have come down considerably. But we're where we are, and I appreciate we're here, and it's being built, and it's going to open up soon, and it's going to be a boom for this area down there. It's going to make the changes it should.
Okay. Council, any other questions? Deputy Mayor Burbidge.
I would just like to add my appreciation to all involved, certainly to our consultants, to Ade for your presentation this evening, and to the mayor, and to Tim for the hard work that's really gone into this effort. It's taken time, but worthwhile things often take time and take a lot of work, and that certainly is true for this one. We appreciate it.
Okay. Council, anything else? All right. With that, we are in recess for purposes of executive session to evaluate the qualifications of an applicant for public employment pursuant to RCW 01G and potential litigation pursuant to RCW 4230-1101I. We are in recess for that purpose.
Mr. Mayor, could you estimate how long we'll be?
About 30 minutes. Actually, let's say 45 minutes.
All right, everybody ready?
Well, good evening and welcome to the March 21st, 2017 Federal Way City Council meeting. Would you all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance?